Ladies and gentlemen, WGS-TV continues on. Now, for those of you who have watched the first video for our predictions for the Saints versus the Steelers, I did not realize it would take up nearly the entire time, about 14, 15 minutes, just reading the stats. So based on that alone, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a part two to it, giving our actual predictions, our actual thoughts on what could happen on tomorrow night's game for the Saints versus the Steelers. So if you haven't watched part one yet, ladies and gentlemen, please watch part one first. Watch the part one video first, where we have all the stats are available to you, the team stats of the Saints versus the Steelers. As soon as you watch that video, please come back here to part two and watch this video and watch how we base our predictions on what will happen tomorrow night with the Saints versus the Steelers. So, I want to go to you first. Ashley is here on Skype. Now, from hearing all that stats and hearing all that intel, that information that was presented to you, I believe I did send it to you in Skype as well. Based on that intel, that information from what you have, what are your thoughts tomorrow night for the Saints versus the Steelers?
I honestly think, from what I can tell, with my basic knowledge of American football or football, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a close one. As long as Drew Brees is on target, this is going to be a close game because the passing is by far strong for the Saints. But when you look at the Steelers, they've had quite a lot more rushing touchdowns as well. And when you look at the yardage of their rushing and passing, they're doing very much better. And that turnover ratio is very much in favour of Pittsburgh. So, also as well, if you take into account that the Saints have taken 16 touchdowns but conceded 16 touchdowns, whereas Pittsburgh have scored 15-6 to their opponents, this is going to be, it may even go to overtime, but you know, I couldn't honestly tell. It could go either way. It depends. It depends if Drew Brees is in form. Depends if Ben. How do you pronounce his surname?
Whose surname?
Ben Roethlisberger, is
Ben,
it?
yes.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger.
It depends. It depends who the quarterback is on form. I think.
Well, Jack619 again is here live in the Blog TV chat room. Jack619, I'm going to read his last few messages for you guys here on the benefit of the video. If you're watching this on YouTube or wherever the other places, you guys know the places I'm talking about. I've said it for countless times on countless videos where you guys can see these videos. I'm going to go ahead and read his comments here for the benefit of you guys, again, watching this on a site other than Blog TV. Jack619 says, I think the Saints need to bounce back from their loss of their last game. I think it might be a close game. The rush is okay. They need to watch on the rushes. Be careful on the plays. They need to be good, and they need to win. They need to win. Now, again, on the interview that was stated from Jim Henderson, the play-by-play commentator for the New Orleans Saints radio network, he comments a little about it on how hard it is to actually defend a Super Bowl title. Because it's not very often where you see a Super Bowl champion do a repeat. It's not very often. It doesn't happen quite very often in the NFL that it happens. Now, I know a lot of people hope for it to happen, especially the Saints fans. Now, I'm not one of them Saints fans that's going to say, why aren't the Saints undefeated right now and everything like that. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot is what they're doing. They're kind of shooting themselves on the foot because what Jim Henderson said on the interview was true. The games with Arizona and Cleveland were very winnable games, but as you can see, the Saints just could not click. They could not get in all cylinders. They couldn't do it. So they had a chance to win those games, but the Saints were their own worst enemy in those games. As WWE Fan 21 is here live in the Blog TV chat room, but we're gonna go to Rev Jake Slayer. Rev Jake, from the information you've heard for the team stats for the Saints and the Steelers, what do you think will happen tomorrow night with the actual game?
I'm going to put $4 on the Saints just because it's your favorite team.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mick37, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
All right, now from the information you heard, again, the team stats, we like to base predictions off of the information we do have. What are your thoughts for the Saints versus the Steelers tomorrow night?
I got my money on the Saints, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers took it.
You got a point there. Now, excuse me. Now, again, we're basing everything off the numbers. And let's just say the Saints' numbers last week weren't all that very good. Considering the fact Drew Brees had a career high, I think it was a career high, 4 interceptions in one game against Cleveland. And I'm like, okay, Drew Brees, this has never happened before. And what was different? That's the question I keep asking myself, ladies and gentlemen. What was different about Cleveland's defense? What was the thing, the notch, the thing that they did to confuse Drew Brees so much that would cause him to have probably one of the most miserable games, not only as a New Orleans Saints, but ever in his career as a quarterback, for that to happen against Cleveland? Now, Ashley, do you believe that the Steelers watched that game, and do you think they kind of saw something that the Cleveland's defense did that confused Drew Brees so much that would cause him to have a miserable day as a quarterback?
I'm honestly not sure. Drew might have just had an off day. Hopefully it's a one-off. If it reoccurs, then it's definitely some kind of plan that Cleveland seems to have worked out. And if Pittsburgh are clever enough, they'll probably work it out themselves as well.
Well, let me go ahead and give my thoughts on tomorrow night's game here. Based on the stats in itself, from what I'm looking at right now, the Saints are a much better passing team than the Steelers. So the Steelers need to watch out for that. But if the Saints also need to open up their running attack. Because think about the Tampa Bay game, and especially with Chris Ivory. Chris Ivory, I believe, netted, I think he had 153 yards. And I think he had it only on 10 carries, though, I think. It's either 10 or 15 carries. I'm not quite sure. All I have are the team stats. I don't have the individual stats right in front of me right now. But the running game in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game was absolutely phenomenal. That opened up the passing lanes, making the Tampa Bay's defense respect the running attack of the Saints. And they were just confused, because what was going to come at you? Was it going to the run? Was it going to be the pass? Because either one could have killed you, and it did to Tampa Bay. But Cleveland did something. They shut down the running attack. They shut down the running attack of the Saints. So if the Steelers want to have any chance whatsoever of having a chance of winning this game, they need to shut down the running attack. But from their stats alone, it looks like they're very, very possible of doing that. Again, opponents against the Steelers have had only 137 rushing plays, only netting 2.8 yards per carry. So if the Steelers can shut down the running attack, then they have a chance of winning this game. But if the Saints have to have their running attack, they have to have that balanced attack. If they don't have that balanced attack, then the Saints are just not the team they were last season. Now, Drew Brees is a wonderful quarterback, but you can't put it on Drew Brees' shoulders all the time. Drew Brees is a wonderful quarterback. He's an amazing quarterback. But there's only so much he can do. Okay? So, the Saints have to have their balanced attack. And I do believe, I'm not sure yet, but Jim Henderson, I believe there's a chance that Pierre Thomas could be back for this game. It's not known yet. Excuse me. It's not known yet if he's going to be back. But the Saints, if they can open up their attack, if they can open up their running attack and have that balanced game, pass and rush, then they have a chance. They can win this game. They can win this game, but they have to open up their running attack, and they have to make the Steelers respect the run and respect the pass. Because if the Steelers respect the run, then Drew Brees can just go all over and just thrash and thrash at the Steelers secondary. Okay, Drew Brees, Jack619 also says Drew needs to have his eyes open so they can also make better plays. Well, that too, but that might have been something that Cleveland might have done. Something that Cleveland might have did. They might have given Drew Brees new looks, different looks that he's never seen before, and it might have confused him. It might have confused him. But then again, we can't get inside the head of Drew Brees. Only Drew Brees knows what Drew Brees is thinking right now. Now, if we could ever have him on the podcast or here on WGS-TV for an interview, that would be fantastic. But knowing how busy he probably is with the NFL season as it stands right now, that probably wouldn't be very possible. But so maybe during the off season, maybe we could look into that. Maybe during the off season. But as far as this game is concerned, for the Steelers versus the Saints, and again, I'm basing this prediction solely on the fact if they get their running attack open, if they can get a balanced attack of running and passing, the Saints all the way. Saints all the way, because they can win it with the pass and the rush. And I do believe the Saints defense can actually shut down that passing attack of the Steelers and actually shut down the rushing attack of the Steelers as well. Because if I look at the stats very quickly, their rushing attack this season, let me see, 185 plays and only netting 3.9 yards per play. That's not a very decent running attack by the Steelers. So they're kind of relying on Ben Roethlisberger to get everything done, to try to win their games for him. So if Saints, if they get their balanced attack of run and pass, and shut him down on the rushing, make Ben Roethlisberger try to beat you. If they make Ben Roethlisberger try to beat the Saints, if they make him try to do solely on pass, then they can just open up and blitz the hell out of Roethlisberger, because they know that their running attack won't do anything to him. Right? Considering all of those factors, ladies and gentlemen, I am saying Saints all the way to win tomorrow night against the Steelers. But again, based on those factors I just said, again, they have to have their balanced attack of run and pass. They have to shut down the run game of the Steelers, make Ben Roethlisberger try to beat them, and if it's just solely on the pass, the Saints can pin their ears back, blitz Ben Roethlisberger, and sack him. Okay? That's my official thoughts. That's my official thoughts. If they can do that, ladies and gentlemen, that is my thoughts. That is my prediction. Saints all the way. But again, just to say it one more time, again, they have to have their balanced attack. They have to shut down the run game and make Ben Roethlisberger rely solely on the pass. Solely on the pass. Because, again, the passing stats on the Steelers aren't that spectacular either. So, Saints all the way, ladies and gentlemen. That is my official thoughts. Those are my official prediction for tomorrow night. Saints all the way. Now, tomorrow night, after the game is over, I will have a reactions video to the game posted up. Okay? So look for that tomorrow night after the Saints game. So now I'd like to thank Andy, Hitman, Jack619, Rev Jake Slayer, Ashley, and Mick37 for joining me on this predictions video. Thank you very much, guys.
Pleasure.
You have been watching WGS-TV, and you've been watching this very special predictions video of the Saints versus the Steelers tomorrow night. And again, be sure to look for my reactions video to the Saints versus the Steelers tomorrow night after the game. So until then, have a great night, everybody.